I don't think I just then music in this same circle. He just has a very solid, like, yes, in those series. Yeah, I mean, for like, then yeah, and it's so yeah. It's like all these writers know each other, you know. But now we know you, so. How did y'all? Because I know Jared. Fine. And I've always followed Stephanie's books. I got the young adult to my grandkids, but I would always read them first. Yeah. I didn't tell her that a while ago. Oh no! I didn't need this one. I didn't have no. Take this book with me on my trip, so I'm going to be. Let me find this conversation. So you read it on your phone?
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for being here tonight. I'm Madeline. I'm the events coordinator here at Malaprop. So I just wanted to welcome you all, give you a couple housekeeping notes, and then introduce our guests tonight. First of all, just a friendly reminder to silence your cell phones if you haven't already. That way we don't have any disruptions tonight. We have 2 restrooms down the hallway. They take a code to get in. I see many pink pages, so it looks like you all have already purchased a book. If you have, the code will be at the bottom of your receipt, 4 digits and £1. If not, you can just head back to our checkout counter and one of our booksellers will print out that code for you. We have all of Stephanie's books behind the counter available, so you don't have to go searching for them. We also have a few of Jeff's books as well. So yeah, after our event, you can just head straight back there. We do close at 7, so we just ask that if you are interested in getting a book and you haven't already, head to the checkout counter, get that book before coming up to talk to the authors, and that way our booksellers can close the registers on time. We also have a live stream audience tonight. So hello, everyone in our little screen. You may have already seen our Q&A instructions. If not, I'll repeat those in the chat, but you can send in questions for either author, either in the YouTube chat or via email. So I'll send that info over again in the chat. And everyone here, start thinking about your questions if you'd like. We'll do that in the last 15 minutes of our event tonight. All right, well, we are very excited tonight to host the launch of Stephanie Perkins' new novel, Overdue, joined in conversation by Jeff Zentner. Stephanie Perkins is the New York Times, USA Today, and international best-selling author and anthology editor of multiple books, including Anna and the French Kiss, Lola and the Boy Next Door, Isla and the Happily Ever After, and My True Love Gave to Me, as well as There's Someone Inside Your House, which was adapted into a major motion picture for Netflix. She has always worked with books, first as a bookseller, then as a librarian, and now as a novelist. She lives in the mountains of North Carolina with her husband. Every room of their house is painted a different color of the rainbow. That's amazing. Jeff Zentner is the author of The Serpent King, which Kirkus Reviews named one of the best books of the 21st century, as well as In the Wild Light, Goodbye Days, Rain and Delilah's Midnight Matinee, Colton Gentry's Third Act, and Sunrise Nights, co-authored with Brittany Cavallero. Among other honors, he has won the ALA's William C. Morris Award, the Amelia Elizabeth Walden Award twice, the Muriel Becker Award, the International Literacy Association Award, been longlisted twice for the Carnegie Medal, and is a 2-time Southern Book Prize finalist. His books have been translated into 15 languages and been featured on The Today Show, Good Morning America, and in Vanity Fair and People magazine. Before becoming a writer, he was a musician who recorded with Iggy Pop, Nick Cave, and Debbie Harry. He lives in Nashville. Please join me in welcoming Stephanie Perkins and Jeff Zentner.
Hey, everybody. Oh. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Hi, everyone. Hello, live stream. A shout out to my friend Jade in Australia who got up at an absurdly early hour to watch this. I love you, Jade. I wanted to speak for a moment first, just to thank you all so much for coming. It's my first book in several years and the first one that I've toured with since 2017. Because the last one was during the pandemic. So it's lovely to see all of you here in person and to have this moment with you all again. And I just wanted to take this moment here up at the top to really, really thank Malaprops for supporting local authors throughout their entire existence. They have just been like the backbone of my entire career. I appreciate the support of this store so much. I appreciate all of you so much for buying from this store. It really means a lot to the booksellers here, and to keep this money in this community. It really, really means, yes, they're hearting me, I'm hearting you back. And to everyone who has already got my book, thank you. And I'm just going to encourage you all to keep shopping. The holidays are coming up. This is a great place to spend money and keep it in the community. There are a lot of other local authors you can support as well. But even if you're like, I already spent too much on books, there are greeting cards, there are journals, there are so many gift options here. It is also banned book week. Buy a banned book, put it in a little free library. There's just so many options. You know, we're worried about children not reading as much anymore, and that is on adults. We are not putting books into children's hands. We are to decide the children's section, buy a book, put it in a child's hands. So it's win-win. You're supporting the community, you're supporting these booksellers who are supporting us. You're keeping money out of the billionaires' hands. Like, it's just the best place to be. And I just wanted to like front load that. So with thanks to the store, and thanks for all of you for supporting this store.
Yes, here, here. Amen to all of that. Well, thank you all for coming out tonight. I can feel the excitement radiating off you guys, and it's making me excited. I feel like I don't know, like a zoo animal, I guess. Is that a thing? Feeling the excitement of kids? I don't know if zoo animals feel that, but I'm saying they do. And I've got a microphone. So I thought that we would just sort of kick things off tonight. You all love stories. By telling the story of how you and I came to know each other, because it's kind of a good story, and it's fun to think about how much of the direction of people's lives can hinge on a little torn piece of paper. So do you want to start?
On
or do
a
you want me
torn
to?
piece of paper. I don't know our story anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm going to tell, this is going to be like a Rashomon type thing. So my understanding
Wait,
was.
I got it.
You got it. Okay. I'm glad I'm not total fabulous here. So I used to live in Asheville. My wife and I used to live in Asheville from 2006 to 2010. And my wife is a piano teacher. When we first moved to town, she had no piano students. So she needed piano students. So she did the most low-tech thing you can do to get piano students, which is put up flyers around town with the little pieces of paper that you tear off. And you've seen them, like, call Billy for drum lessons, tear off the piece of paper, and there's a phone number. And is this track? Okay, so go ahead, Steph, take it from here.
Yeah, so she put up one in the library that I was working at the time. I worked in 3 libraries here in Asheville. I started at Pack Memorial, then I went to the North Asheville Library, and I finished in Weaverville. At that time, I was in the North Asheville Library. And my coworker knew that I'd been thinking about taking piano lessons again, and that he happened to talk to her as she put up the flyer, and he was like, you know, this really cool woman came in and put up this flyer. I think you would really dig her. And I was too nervous, though. I still like hadn't made the commitment. So I was like, yeah. And I didn't call. And then she came in again, and he pointed her out, and I'm like, oh, she does seem cool, but I still didn't call because I was too nervous. And then my husband, who is a musician, was over there. He was having a show, and one of the members of his band was friends with you, and so you and Sarah showed up, and we were sat beside each other, and like while we're talking, I realized like, oh, this is the piano teacher, and like the universe is clearly telling me I need to take piano lessons from her. And we ended up just talking like nonstop, like throughout the whole show. Sorry, hon. And yeah, we became fast friends and then friends through you. So yeah, this was years before either of us was a published author.
Yeah, and then Stephanie would start talking about this book she was working on, and I had never in my life met a published author. I grew up in a small town in Kansas, never met a published author. In my mind, I loved books, but in my mind, books kind of just descended from ivory towers carried by teams of doves in baskets. And in those ivory towers, there were people in tweed jackets and bow ties with leather-bound Hemingway and Faulkner and degrees from Harvard. And that's who were writing the books. It certainly wasn't anybody that I could know. So Stephanie would start talking about this book she was writing, and I'd smile and nod, and I'd be thinking, well, good luck with that, because it's the people in the ivory towers, and you seem to be hanging out with garbage like me. So, but sure enough, she finishes this book, Anna and the French Kiss. She would bounce character names off us. She would tell us little details about the book. Sure enough, and I watch my dear friend become this acclaimed, best-selling, indeed iconic young adult author right in front of my eyes. And it was so inspiring. And so years later, when I started working with teenagers at a music camp teaching guitar and really wanted to make art for teenagers, I was like, you know what? I know somebody whose brain I could pick about writing young adult novels. Maybe I'll try my hand at one. So, there's absolutely no way I would be sitting here if it weren't for Stephanie. So her stories just reverberate. I know her stories have touched all of you. That's why you're here. That's why you're so excited to read this book. Let me assure you that everything you love about Stephanie Perkins' books is contained in this book. While I was waiting to go on, I made a little list of the things that this book is a love letter to. And I'm going to be leaving some stuff off, I'm sure. But among other things, it's a love letter to libraries, to librarians, to bookstores, to booksellers, to books, to food, to home renovation, to Western North Carolina, to coming of age as an adult, and to love itself. I mean, you know already that this is one of the masters of writing love stories. Y'all are in excellent hands with this book. And I just want to kind of kick off by you giving us the history of this book. How is it that this book comes to us? Where did the idea come from? What alchemy produced it?
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. That was all really sweet. The book came from, you might have already guessed it by all those book mentions, the fact that I was a librarian for so many years. And before that, I was a bookseller for many years. I had this deep background with working with books and working with book people. And I felt really passionately about those people. When I was a teenager, the booksellers that I worked with were all a little bit older than me. And I was a very sad, depressed teenager. And those were the booksellers. They were the adults in my life who taught me that there was a future to look forward to. I really count those people with saving my life. And in my 20s, when I was a librarian, those were the people who taught me how to be an adult. My parents lived on the opposite side of the country. They were not here anymore. They were the people who taught me, how to find a dentist, like really basic stuff like that I just had no clue. And so these people wormed their way very deeply into my heart. And, you work with book people long enough, there are definitely certain types of people that you run into again and again and again. These careers attract a really specific kind of person. And so I just always had it in the back of my mind that someday I would write my own configuration of these people that I loved so much. So that was always there. And the other piece of it, it is a love story, and it starts off in a way that's very what's the word? This is very typically me to forget what I'm saying, even when it's my own book. It's now I'm suddenly like very aware of the live stream too. Hi guys. So it's a really like plotty plot in the beginning where the character has been dating her boyfriend for 11 years, and then her sister, who's only been dating her girlfriend for 2 years, suddenly gets engaged. And it kind of starts that thinking of like, oh, why aren't we married? And so they decide they make this really crazy decision to date other people for 1 month, just to see what it's like, make sure they aren't missing anything before then they decide to inevitably like move forward into marriage together. And they're very, very confident that that is what's going to happen. And so it starts with this like, this very like romance trope. And then as the novel progresses, I very quickly kind of rip that trope away from the characters, like, oh, in real life, like that's really not that great, really not that helpful. But so that idea of characters people who have been together for a really long time, but have not made an additional commitment to each other was something that I heard in an episode of This American Life, like years and years ago. And I thought like, oh, that's so interesting. I believe in that episode, they called it a rumspringa, like the Amish. And so I tucked that away, like, I love writing love stories and like, maybe I'll write about that someday. And then I ran into that story in real life a couple times, people who had really done that. And I thought, okay, there's something there. And then just with time, like, I'm a slow writer. It takes me about 4 years to write a book. I feel like the best books are made from lots of pieces of ideas rather than just one idea. And so that the ideas came and melded together with time. And suddenly I had the one super idea.
So, I said this and I'll repeat it. It is not an exaggeration to say you're one of the iconic writers of love stories for young adult. You will never see a list of the great young adult romances without at least one of Stephanie's books on there. So you clearly love stories. They love you back. What was it like going from writing love stories for and about young adults to writing love stories for and about adults?
It wasn't as big of a leap as one might think. We never stop growing. There's this idea that once we become adults, once we hit 18, once we hit 21, these milestones that like, okay, now you're here, now you're an adult, now you have things figured out. Some of us go to college and we get a degree in a certain thing and it's like, okay, now you're going to do that thing. Or we were with a partner for a while and it's like, okay, now it's time to get married. And, life just doesn't always work like that. In fact, it never works like that, right? We keep changing, we keep learning things. We know this culturally in terms of midlife crises, but it's a thing that happens to most of us multiple times in our life where we come to kind of this reckoning point of, oh, things weren't exactly what I thought they were going to be, or something's wrong, or where we make, some big decisions. And this book takes place over the course of 1 year, January to December. And, it starts with one very, very big and kind of wild decision. And then that spirals out into her examining her entire life over the course of a year. And it's, and I don't think that's that different from a teenage experience. When you're a teenager, it's the first time. So there's a lot more like intense emotion on top of that. But as an adult, we still feel things that intensely too. But we do have like a bit of a maturity lens on it. So that would be the difference. But really, it felt like I was just writing about that another big period of change in a person's life.
What went into the decision to set it over the course of basically exactly a year? I love books set over a year. I think I've got multiple books of my own that are set over exactly a year. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I like books that are set over the course of a set period of time too, whether it's one night, like your book Sunrise Nights, which is 3 nights over the course of a few years. We'll talk about that later. I'm excited to. Or, I anything that gives like a little bit of structure. And so early on I knew it was going to take some time for the character to reach the point she needed to reach. She couldn't do all of that in a month or so. That's not a believable life story. So I thought like, okay, yeah, I'll set it over the course of a year. And what I didn't realize in doing that, when I separate each month out, and there's like the really cute little like library card in the book, like with the little stamp for each month on it. They did a great job. But what I didn't realize while we were like concocting all of that was I accidentally made the book much longer. Because when you separate out 12 months, it turns out like every single month is suddenly important. in other books, when you could like, when I could like just skip ahead a few weeks, a few months, whatever, to the next important thing. Suddenly every month is really important and you can't just skip over like what happens in August. Yeah, what happens in August? And so, yeah, I unintentionally wrote a book that's twice as long as my last book. Yeah, whoops.
What are some of your favorite love stories? These can be movies, TV shows, books. I know I should have, we didn't even discuss this
you
question.
just threw that one at me.
We don't have to talk
yeah.
about this. Okay.
Okay, so straight off the bat, I love movies, so I always think cinematically, and You've Got Mail was a big touchstone for me, which is a very bookish movie, takes place in a children's bookstore. And I think Nora Ephron was just a genius when it comes to writing love stories. And what people often forget about her work, they're seen as these like light souffle stories. And while the end of her films and her written work will give you that like big happy feeling, a lot of times what's forgotten is that her characters go through real hardships throughout the course of those stories, and they really, really earn those happy endings. Like in You've Got Mail, she loses her store, the store that her mother built. It's a really devastating moment of change for that character. And so I think when people, when books or movies are being categorized as like Nora Ephron, like they're just thinking of that souffle thing. But what I really respect about that was that that really deep level of reality that cuts through all of her work and those really earned endings. So I want to start with her because every kind of conversation about love story should either start with her or Jane Austen, who is the other person who immediately springs to mind. Of course, I love Jane Austen. We can skip right past that. Really influential to me early on were the Bridget Jones books by Helen Fielding. This came out when I was a teenager, and it's really easy to forget it now, but nothing else sounded like them at the time. They were groundbreaking for a reason. That voice cut through. I loved them. There's a lot of that voice in my voice because I read them so many times. I really love Marian Keyes. I think she has been at the top of this genre for the last 25 years. Not enough Americans know her. She's Irish. Rainbow Rowell will always be one of my favorite authors. And I'm not just saying this because I'm sitting beside him, but Jeff Zentner is one of my favorite authors. It's one of the reasons why I asked him to do this tour with me, because I believe that our books are really, really, really good friends. Like all the characters would hang out, our settings would love each other. There's so much food, like we have so much overlap. And Jeff writes, like me, he writes very, very romantic contemporary fiction. And he can't say this, but I can as his friend. It can sometimes be hard to find a romantic audience if you're a straight dude. It automatically rules a lot of readers out, and we all know why, and we get that. We don't want that usually. And so I, as his friend and advocate and huge fan of his books, am here to say, Jeff is not like those dudes. And yet those dudes don't write those books. They don't exist. It's really rare to run across a man who writes deeply romantic fiction, and you have to be a certain kind of empathetic, wonderful, wonderful human to do it. And Jeff is, and these books have so much in common with mine. And so I just really, really want people to give his work a shot. Will you, since we're talking about you right now, would you just take one moment to tell them about this book, which I think is the closest match to Overdue?
Sure. And then we're going to get really quickly back to your books because I'm so excited to talk about this. So Colton Gentry's third act is about a country singer who, in the throes of alcoholism and after having lost his best friend in a mass shooting, real lighthearted romp so far, right, guys? Goes on stage where he's opening for this kind of Jason Aldean-ish huge country act and offers what I can only describe as an unfiltered opinion on gun control in America. And it goes exactly as well as you think. So he is abruptly canceled, life over. His pop star wife divorces him. He's done. So he moves back home to his small town in Kentucky to rebuild his life, living in his mom's house in his old bedroom. And he comes to find that his high school flame, Luann, has moved back to town as well to start a farm-to-table restaurant. And Luann takes pity on him, hires him to work alongside her in the restaurant. There's lots of yes, chef, no chef. What happens then? Oh, I don't know. You'll have to read the book to find out. But that's what it's about. So
It's also very, very, very funny. Jeff has a wicked sense of humor and it's delicious. And there's my favorite joke of the last decade in books is inside this book. And it's a footnote and I would never dare to spoil it for you. But you would never think a footnote could be so clever or funny or just catch you completely off guard. It's a delight. So yeah, shout out to that footnote.
thank you. And that is very flattering for you to say that our characters would be friends. I definitely agree. One of the things I loved the most about reading Overdue was that I saw the little bits of Steph in the characters, the little bits of Steph DNA, and most particularly in your main character, Ingrid, right? Okay. I lose names in general at my age, but when I'm on the spot, I got out there and I was like, oh God, please let this not be the wrong name. Okay. Ingrid, thank you. I saw so much of you in her. Talk about what went into creating Ingrid. And I'd also like to know how you named your characters. I know from the very beginning, watching you write Anna and the French Kiss, what thought you put into naming your characters. And it works. You can feel the magic. You can feel that you didn't throw a dart at a dartboard with names on it. There's real thought and intention to these names, which makes them feel like real living people. So talk about that if you would.
Yeah, thanks. I do love names. I love naming. I don't have children, so this is the thing that I get to name. I get to name characters and my cats, except not all of them because some of them I adopt old and you can't change an old pet's name. It's too sad. So I do really, really enjoy naming. Ingrid's name, her name is Ingrid Dahl, Dahl. And a few years ago, I was writing a horror novel that was set in rural Nebraska called There's Someone Inside Your House. And my favorite Nebraskan writer is Willa Cather. And so her books are steeped in Scandinavian and Bohemian natives who natives, that's the wrong word, white people who settled the area. And so I wanted to bring some of that into that book, and that character, I pulled a Scandinavian name, Ingrid, and I started writing it, and it was just wrong. It was wrong. That was not my protagonist. And so I pulled the name and I pulled the white girl. They left that book, but I still liked the name. I pocketed it, and it came up for this book. To my everlasting frustration, I have now seen that name in so many books. It is a very popular name now. It feels not chosen, not carefully chosen. It is. I love that name. And then the doll, I wanted a match to that. I wanted to say Scandinavian, Norwegian, and Roald Dahl was a huge influence on me as a child. And that relationship has since grown a lot more complicated as I've learned about his history. And it's a thing that I think all of us are wrestling with a lot of books we love, authors we love, music we love. You know, there's a lot now that we all have to reckon with. And so I do put a little aside in there that very, very briefly in the beginning where she's reckoning with that a little bit too. But there's no denying that he was a big influence in turning me into a reader, which is of course what comes before a writer. So that's where her name came from. When I'm writing so heavily about books, a bookish name showed up. And then the love interest name is Macon Nowakowski. And the Macon, it's funny, when I talk to people who are not from the South, they do not know how to pronounce that name. I was not expecting this, and I keep running into it again and again and again. People asking me, what is that name? How do you pronounce it? They think it's Macon. And I'm like, oh, okay, got it. You've never spent any time here. He's a character who grew up in this part of the country, so I wanted to give him a name that kind of reflected that. And the Nowakowski, I just like an awkward, clunky name, and I don't see a lot of Polish representation in literature. So I'm like, Usually a love interest gets like a sexy last name. No sex.
Jack Falco.
That's right. So no, I wanted to give it a real mouthful. Wanted to make people work for it.
Well, and I love that too. I know that you've got, and this is no shade to Jared, but I know that you love awkward guys.
I do.
You do.
I do.
Jared is elegant and sleek like a jungle cat. He is not awkward at all. But I know that you've got such a fondness for like if one of our favorite podcasts, Blank Check, I recommend it to you specifically because there is a very awkward and neurotic host on that podcast and so smart and talks about movies so intelligently. He felt like a Stephanie Perkins character,
Yeah.
absolutely come to life, right down to the name. Griffin Newman
Yeah.
feels like a Stephanie Perkins name.
Yeah, I would have written a Griffin for sure before.
Yeah. And so I was like, I gotta recommend this podcast to Stephanie. I want to make sure we leave time for questions. How are we doing on time? 10 more minutes? Okay, let's open it up to questions. Yeah. I've been having so much fun talking.
Yeah, me
You could
too.
just roll.
Oh, 10 minutes before questions? Is that, got it? So.
Oh, cool. Okay, so we got a little more time. All right. Let's talk about home renovation.
Yeah,
Is
my favorite subject.
And I'm staying in the Perkins house right now, and it is just an absolute wonder. Let me just give your home address so people can drop by. But you're just gonna have to trust me on this one. It is as wondrous and quirky and intelligent and thoughtful as your books. It's like living in a Stephanie Perkins book. Everywhere your eye falls, there is magic. We have modeled our own home, my family and I, on your house, your philosophy of sort of feathering your nest and curating your space. And that love pervades this book. There is a love of curating your space. No spoilers, whether it be a project, whether it be a home. Talk about that if you would.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you for those kind words. I'm very house proud. I'm not proud about many things, but I'm very house proud. I love my house. Decorating and renovating is one of my very favorite things to do. And my house was built in 1933 and it needed a lot of work when my husband and I bought it 20 years ago. How many years ago? 21 years ago. And we've been working on it ever since. And so it was finally a chance for me to put all of that hard-earned sanding kind of knowledge, painting, all of those details. It was a place to put it. In fact, I had so much in there that one of my early readers was like, okay, I've read this scene already. And I had to scale it back, but I was just so interested in it. Yeah, so it's as Ingrid is rebuilding her life, she is also fixing up a few different properties as well. I'm so glad that you asked me about that because none of my interviews so far have asked me about it. And I'm like, really, I just want to talk about houses. I have always loved houses to the point where like my most quoted quote is from the end of my first book, and it's about home being a place, not a person, or a person, not a place. Excuse me, got my own quote wrong. My first horror novel is about a violation of one's house. There's someone inside your house, because I cannot think of anything worse than that. My second horror novel was about being in the woods away from your house. How dare you? So I'm continually writing about ideas of home and houses and all of that. It's really important to me.
Yeah, and let me just say, it gets a bad rap, but don't sleep on watching paint dry. I'm serious. It can be very fun. I'm not saying sit there and watch paint dry for hours, but do check in on it. It can be really fun and exciting to watch paint dry.
What are you
right?
talking about?
Well, okay, I thought you were gonna get my back on this one. Okay, you're not gonna go with me on
No, I love doing it. I love the final product, but I'm gonna be cranky the whole time I'm doing it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I love checking in on paint drying. I think it's so much fun.
Oh my
See,
God.
none of your other interviewers have asked you about this because they haven't stayed in your house. When you stay in your house, you're like, okay, I see what's going on here.
It's because I never leave my house.
Gotcha. Well, I wouldn't either if I were you.
Okay.
So, what's the pop culture you're into these days? I love asking you this because I love getting recommendations. We have so many bizarre shared interests. We were talking when we came over about how much we love novels about whaling ships. That's a very, very specific interest.
Shout out.
We got another whaling here. That's I just made that up.
Okay.
Wow.
Messing with me or
No, we are not messing with you at all. Isabel Ibanez, another wonderful YA author here, by the way. Not an audience plant, but
No.
might as well be for.
So Megan Shepherd and other authors right in front of her. Megan, what do you think about whaling books?
Oh my I'm not read a whaling book.
Oh,
I'm not.
okay, 3 out of 4. 3 out of 4 authors recommend whaling.
Yeah. We love whaling books. So what pop culture are you into, Steph?
There have not been enough whaling books lately, so we'll start there. No. I am so bad at this question because I am very, very, very out of tune with pop culture. And it's been my paranoia this whole time that everyone's gonna ask me what era am I in on this tour, and I'm gonna have to throw it back to the audience. Like,
I'm in my Halloween era, always.
like, why don't you tell me what era I'm in? But I love how much, before anyone takes this the wrong way, including my friend Jade, who loves Taylor Swift. Hi again, Jade. I am so happy for all of you Swifties in the audience who have your new album. That's so exciting. I'm celebrating for you. I'm just not listening because I am out of touch with everything new. Everything except cinema. I watch just about every new movie. I'm very, very interested in films. So pop culture wise, I just saw One Battle After Another, Paul Thomas Anderson's new film, and believe the hype. It's incredible. It will win Best Picture at the Oscars. It's phenomenal. See it on the big screen. I'm not a car chase person, but it had the best car chase I've seen in over a decade. It's incredible. Yeah. Jeff, you're gonna love it.
I'm
We
really
should see it.
excited.
I
Yeah,
would see it again.
I'm really excited. I'm excited for the adaptation of Hamlet too.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Did any of you read Hamlet? Yeah. Oh, hey.
There we go.
Taste the compliment.
Plague books, another very plague books. All right, plague books. All right, you're here to talk about a romance. We're here to talk about plague books and whaling books. What's next for Stephanie Perkins?
Something very different again. A lot of people want me to keep writing the happy stuff, which I love and I'm very grateful for. Thank you. But yeah, I get bored. I want a new thing, a new adventure. So I'm switching gears again right now and doing something totally different. But the book after that is like this again. So it does circle back. I promise I will keep like giving you the thing you want eventually, but I am gonna write the other things for me in between. Yeah.
So one final question
Yeah.
before we throw it to the audience in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay, now this question you have to answer head on. You can't be self-effacing or self-deprecating. You can't deflect or
How dare
evade.
you? You know all my moves.
I know all your moves. What is your favorite thing about Stephanie Perkins books?
How dare you?
I know.
Oh, no.
I see you. I see the wheels of self-deprecation turning in your head. I hear the gears of self-effacement.
I'm so uncomfortable right now. Okay.
Oh, thank you. So glad. This is exactly what I wanted.
I love my characters. I'm really proud of my characters. I put so much thought into them. I spend so many years with them. They feel extremely real to me. Every character I've ever written is still living inside me. They still talk to me sometimes. I still talk to them. I know what they're all up to. I'm really proud of how real they all feel, even if it's just to me, but I get that feedback from readers too, and I'm really proud of them.
I love asking this question, first of all, because it evokes the exact reaction that you just gave, but I also love to see the nods in the audience as they're like, yeah, you're right. You're correct about the thing you love about your books, because we love that too. I love that. I think you are correct about the thing that you love most about your books. All right.
All right.
The time has come for you to take center stage.
Matt,
what are your questions?
there was a live question that came in very early, right? Should we get that one first to ease into
That's
it?
somebody who is champing at the bit. It's champing, right? Not chomping. I think.
It's champing, right?
I
He's a
think
he's a
it's
horse
champing.
person.
Yeah,
He
I think
champs,
it's
right?
champing.
Chomping?
It's chomp.
Chomping.
It is?
We're wrong.
See, I thought it was chomping, and then somebody was like, no, it's champing. And I was like, but it doesn't make sense. You don't champ on things, you chomp on things, but.
I figured it was a horse word.
Yeah, it's the bit is, it's a horse.
Well, I knew it. Yeah, I knew the bit was the horse. Okay,
Right.
now we know.
It's two.
Okay,
Two.
great.
So one, which you may have already answered, but how did your writing process for Overdue differ from writing your YA novels?
So I'm gonna repeat that question so everyone can hear. How did your process of writing Overdue differ from writing your YA novels?
We sort of answered that, right? That it really wasn't that different. Yeah, so I won't linger on that one too long. I think it would seem like it would be very different, and in actuality, I didn't change anything about my process.
This is the thing that I think makes great YA writers who transition into adult is they don't keep their finest craft in a cabinet like the fine china to only bring out for the adults. They swing for the fences for the kids and the adults. And I really appreciate that. I never appreciate when some like fancy author who, you know, is lauded for their craft comes over to YA and just is like, I'm not getting out the fine china for these kids who are on their phones on TikTok all day. You know,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great follow-up. The next question was, are there any other genres you're looking to explore?
Are there any other genres you're looking to explore in the future?
Yeah, so I'm not going to say what I'm working on next. I'm just going to keep that one in my heart. But someday I would love to tell a fairy tale retelling. It always has kind of surprised me that one has not come out of me yet, because I read lots and lots and lots of fairy tales. I love them. Yeah, and I do think my my love stories are very have a big kind of. I aim for a big happily ever after, a really big kind of splashy one that feels earned, but I do like, I think that comes from my love of fairy tales. Anyone here have a question? If not, we can keep talking. We can definitely avoid the awkwardness, because sometimes these things are very awkward. It might be.
I know you have questions, you just don't want to be first,
Oh,
ma'am.
appreciate it. It's good to see you again.
My question was not necessarily about the different genres you're writing or thinking about writing, but I believe this is your first adult novel, correct? So my question is, if your next one you're writing it, you're keeping in your heart, is it back to YA or is it going to be adult?
So should I repeat this question for the folks on the live stream? Your next book, is it going to be YA or back to adult?
Neither.
Right, intriguing,
Yeah.
intriguing. And I think you had a question.
Yeah, so I know that you're a huge fan of horror movies. I was wondering if you're still doing the whole like watching a bunch of different horror movies leading up to Halloween.
Okay, so
Not the past couple of years, and what might be like one of your favorites that you've watched over the years?
question, are you still watching a bunch of horror movies leading up to Halloween? I know you had done what is it, 30 in October, what's it called?
It's 31 horror films in 31 days. My friend Daniel Kraus, also a horror novelist, he started it. So shout out to Daniel.
Wait, real quick, Daniel wrote a whale book, not a whaling book, but it's called Whale Fall, and it is one of the most gripping books I've ever read. A guy gets swallowed by a whale. A diver gets swallowed by a whale and has like 2 hours to get out of the whale.
It's a countdown until death, you guys. It's great.
It's incredible. Anyway, sorry.
It's about to be a movie starring Josh Brolin.
Oh.
We were just chatting yesterday.
Ah,
Yeah, I'm super excited for that. Yeah, so I burned out really hard on horror after, so my last 2 books were both horror novels. The world turned into a horror hellscape. And it was one of the reasons why I needed a palate cleanser. I still love horror. I just had to take a bit of a break from it. So I see a few films every year still. Like, I didn't completely shut it out of my life because it'll be there forever. But I did have to take a step back for a moment. I remember while I was writing the last horror novel, like I was in that world all day long, and then I was doing the research for that book. And then I would turn on the news and I would see the news. And I talked to my therapist and I was like, I'm still doing okay, but like, I'm very close to not being okay. And he said to me, he's like, well, you have this job, so you have to do the work and you have to do the research for the work. So you're just gonna have to turn off the news for like a little while. And I did have to do that to finish that book. So great news. I can listen to the news again and watch it again. Like, so exciting, so thrilled to be doing that again.
Oh, I'm so glad for you. Wonderful.
But yeah, like it did kill my horror buzz a little. Actually, if you don't mind, I would love to throw this question to you because I have not watched any horror yet. I always wait till the end of the year and then I ask my friend Daniel, I'm like, hey, what was good? What did I miss? So please tell me what you've seen lately because I would like your recommendation for real.
While you're thinking about it, let me
Yeah.
just quickly interject. Stephanie and I are both horror fans. We watched horror movies together. We went through this phase where we were watching these French horror movies.
Yeah.
And folks, let me tell you, the French, they are bananas. Their horror movies are,
Yeah.
what's the French word for bananas? Banana, whatever that is, they are that. And these movies were nuts. And that found its way into my book, Goodbye Days. Two of the characters watch French
right.
horror
I
movies together.
remember
And
that.
I just lifted that directly. And it was so funny during that period because people would be like, oh, you're friends with Stephanie Perkins who wrote Anna and the French Kiss. Does she just walk on rainbows? Does she just spew sugar from? I'm like, well, how much of Stephanie's business do I want to say? There is nobody on earth more goth than Stephanie Perkins. Like Wednesday Addams looks at Stephanie and is like, wow, you're dark. Sorry, recommendations. Anyone can recommend
I know,
a
I
horror
know.
movie.
Definitely Sinners, if you haven't seen it.
We did see it.
Sinners is great.
Sinners is
That's
phenomenal.
one.
Yeah.
I really am a huge fan of 28 Days Later.
Okay, I thought I hadn't seen any horror films. I've seen both of those. Danny Boyle's my favorite director, so.
We're currently watching Doctor Sleep from a couple of years ago.
That was a good one.
So
That
for
was a good
people,
one.
yeah.
Rebecca, what's her name? Ferguson. She's so good in that. She's got such a great horror
That's the one
face.
that's The Shining, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shining sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ewan McGregor, you love Ewan.
I do. A
Yeah.
lot of people don't realize that there was a Shining sequel. There is, and it's supposed to be very, very, very good.
Yeah.
So sorry for that horror tangent, but I loved it. Thank you for asking about it. Anything else? How are we doing? Oh, yeah.
After being around books for so long, what made you take the leap from reader to writer?
So the question is, after being around books for so long, what made you take the leap from reader to writer?
That's a really good question. Thank you. It was something that I'd wanted to do for a long time. When I was in the 6th grade, I had a teacher who loved writing, creative writing, and he assigned us projects every week. And I'd never been assigned creative writing projects in school before. And, I was a good student, but not like a great student. It was the first time that I showed like real skill in something and was kind of stood up amongst the other kind of classmates. And my teacher really encouraged me in the writing to keep going. And he entered one of my poems in a poetry contest for the state and I won. And it was the first time that I felt like, oh, this is something like I actually am kind of good at. And then it kind of fell away again because I hit middle school and we all go through a lot in middle school and that's more than enough for us to deal with. But by the time I got to my senior year in high school, I took an elective of creative writing and that teacher saw the same thing in me and she encouraged me again. So it's really thanks to those two teachers who really brought it out in me and saw something in me and encouraged me. I'm really grateful to them. So by the time I got to college, I did study creative writing in college. I have a bit of mixed feelings about that. Overall, it was a worthwhile experience, but I certainly don't think you need to go to college to become a writer. I think you learn how to become a writer by reading tons of books and thinking about them critically and pulling them apart and, practicing. So that was a bit of a mixed bag, but I did know by that point that that's what I wanted to do. But you don't graduate and get a job as a novelist. So that was when I became a librarian. And I always said I had the second best job in the world because I was still with books. And I was really, really happy to be with the books. But there was always that thing inside me that just knew it was wrong. And I was writing the whole time, but it wasn't going well. I'll put it that way. Like, I don't remember the exact numbers anymore. It's been a while, but like over the course of 7 years, I wrote maybe like, I'm just gonna throw this number out there, something like 14,000 words, which is not a good average if you want to be a novelist. That's really, really bad, actually. And it wasn't until something happened in my personal life that I had no control over whatsoever that I realized that writing was something that was in my control, and that the only person stopping me from becoming a novelist was me. And it happened pretty quickly after that. Once I started taking it seriously as a job, I worked my day job during the day, and then I came home and I wrote at night. It happened pretty fast after that. I settled onto a new project, and I want to say I wrote the first draft of Anne and the French Kiss in about 9 months. And then spent a couple years editing it with an editor, but I had to reach that point of maturity in my life and to realize that, you know, it is up to us to make those changes in our life. Like, it doesn't just happen. Like the magic writing theory doesn't just like sprinkle and you're like, oh my gosh, now I can write. And I'm so like motivated to do so. And it's really easy. Like, no, I don't find writing easy. I do love it and I find it worthwhile, but I think it's really hard. Yeah, I think it's really, really hard, but there's still nothing I would rather do. It's still my #1 job pick, and I'm really lucky that I get to do it.
People ask me what my least favorite part about writing is, and my answer is writing, because until I start, I've got this idea for a book in my head and it is perfect, right until it gets translated through all of my limitations as a human being and writer. And then it becomes this imperfect, deformed beast.
It's humiliating.
Yeah.
Writing is a humiliating act. How are we doing on time? Is that it?
I think,
oh,
do we
there's
have a
one
little-
more.
There we go, Isabel.
Thanks.
What's your favorite Marian Keyes book?
What's your favorite Marian Keyes book?
My favorite Marian Keyes book is it's 2. They're connected. So the Walsh Sisters is a series of these lovely, kooky Irish sisters, and each story is very individual. You can read them on your own. But there's one sister in particular, Rachel, who is an addict. This book takes place, I think, in the late 90s, and she's Rachel's Holiday, yeah. And she's addicted to alcohol and cocaine, like serious things. And she goes to rehab, and the book is about her getting her life back together while also falling in love and going back and forth between those and seeing how much she's really hurt this wonderful person in her life and having to learn how to live with that and, you know, grow as a person. And it's a really, really beautiful book. It was always my favorite of hers. And then just a couple years ago, she revisited that character. And it's called Rachel Again. And it's another really beautiful examination. Like, she's doing okay, which is great, but she's had her hardships, and things have gone a little south. And so it's her correcting course again. And I just think it's such an incredible, it's an incredible love story. Like, it's so intense, so powerful, and it's because there's this incredible story behind it, right? That's what I always want in a romance. I want something really meaningful to be happening in that person's life. I want them making decisions. I want them making mistakes. I really don't want to read about perfect people. I'm not interested in perfect people. And I think those books are just brilliant. Like that, when I finished the second one, I hugged it so hard. I was just so happy that it existed. Yeah. They're fantastic.
Sold and sold. I don't know if I've told you, but in addition to plague books and whaling books, I will read anything an Irish woman writes. Like, give me the Sally Rooney, give me the Claire Keegan, give me the Nisha Dolan, give me, if you're Irish and a woman, I will read it. And so absolutely, I need to get into Marian Keyes.
You would love her.
I would love her.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's
it,
probably
yeah.
about it. Any last words, Stephanie?
Oh, yes. Thank you for the very generous prompt. I like to end every event by urging you again, to please support this store. Today I support this store and bought these two books. The new Richard Osman, anyone reading the Thursday Murder Club books, these books are like hugs, but not the hugs where like, when a lot of people say like, oh, this book is like a hug, I read them and I'm like, well, it's sweet, but there's like not a lot of plot. Like, no, like these are just such a delight. It's the last in that series. I'm so excited. They're so funny. And then the new Ian McEwan. So here I am getting a little fancier. He wrote Atonement, which is one of my all-time favorite novels. And this new one, I think it's an exploration of kind of a pandemic situation. Is that right? Or is it AI? Which one is it? It's something bad. But it's gonna be great in his hands. I love him. Can't wait. So this is me urging you again to support this wonderful store we're in. And thank you all for coming and for supporting this store just by being here. Independent bookstores are the lifeblood of writers like us, of this community. Yeah, it just means so much to have their support over the years. And thank you all for supporting them in turn. Yeah, thanks for coming, guys.
Stephanie Perkins. And I think you're going to receive some instructions on signing, I would imagine.
Malin, yeah.
Great.